Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic, which is energy in the environment. Energy, as in Greek, means work done. The energy from the sun, wind and fossils has been utilized by humans since prehistoric era. This energy has been harnessed to carry out various activities. And as you can see, the energy from the solar flare, wind energy and also from fossil fuels which have been given. There are various forms of energy like kinetic energy, potential energy, chemical energy and nuclear energy. However, the main source of energy for all these forms is the sun, and the sun delivers this energy in the form of solar energy. The kinetic energy is obtained from the movement of air and water. Thermal energy from heated water or fluids. Potential energy is energy through the position of an object. Chemical energy is from chemical bonds of fuels such as gasoline, and nuclear energy is obtained from the nucleus of an atom. All these forms of energies can be changed from one form to another and thus help to generate electricity. Now, considering the economic growth and how it is related to the energy consumption, the amount of energy consumed by a nation determines its economic growth and population. The energy demand of India is now increasing rapidly due to population growth, urbanization, industrialization and certain other developmental activities which include the building of infrastructure. However, although the development of a nation is important, but it should not be at the cost of the environment, which is a collective responsibility of the world. Since the energy sources are finite and therefore they need to be utilized judiciously, care needs to be taken that these energy resources are utilized at their minimum, and the energy resources which are renewable, which can be renewed, need to be generated and utilized to the maximum. There are various types of energy sources which include the conventional or non-renewable resources. Second type, non-conventional or renewable resources, and the third type of energy sources which are nuclear sources. The renewable energy sources are including various kinds, that is the wind energy, the tidal energy, hydro energy, that is energy which is obtained from water, solar energy and energy from biomass. Since all these kinds of energies are natural sources, therefore they can be replenishable or renewable, and hence in the category of renewable energy resources. Then there are types of non-renewable energy resources which include coal, petroleum and natural gas. And as we know that they are termed as non-renewable because they cannot be replenished very easily. They are finite resources and tend to get exhausted over a period of time. This is a distribution of renewable energy resources as well as the non-renewable energy resources, in which how much is being contributed by nuclear energy, by biomass and other energy resources is depicted in the pie chart. The main sources of energy in the environment include sun, wind and water. Considering sun as the source of energy. Solar energy, or the energy from the sun, is the main source of energy for the sustenance of life on earth. The green plants absorb the energy from the sun and make food by the process of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis, as we know, is a conversion of solar energy into chemical energy by a process which is further shown. Only 1% of the energy from the sun absorbed by the plants is used to produce food. The rest is used in the growth of the plants. The food produced by the plants is consumed by herbivores, which provide them energy. The herbivores, that is the plant eating animals, in turn are consumed by the carnivores, and this is called the food chain. This is a picture which is showing the food chain where plants produce food taking up energy from the sun, which is eaten by the carnivores, the insects like the grasshopper, which has been shown in the picture, which is further eaten by the carnivore, as is shown by the frog in the picture, and then the frog is eaten by the snake, ultimately the vulture, and this follows a kind of a food chain in which one of the trophic level is affecting the other. The herbivores utilize the energy from food for a number of metabolic functions in the body, like the digestion of food, circulation of blood, and so on. These herbivores are eaten by carnivores, and this transfer of energy from one trophic level to another is called energy flow. During the transfer of energy from one level to another, there is a loss of energy. That means the total energy which is being produced by the plants in the form of food, and when the plants are consumed by the herbivores, then the amount of energy which was there in plants, not all that energy has been transferred to the herbivores. Similarly, when herbivores are eaten up by the carnivores, not all the energy which is present in the herbivores has been transferred to the carnivores. Some of the energy is lost to the environment, and this is called the rule of 10. That is, only 10% of the energy is transferred from one trophic level to another. According to the rule of 10, therefore, only 10% of the total energy is transferred to the next level. The first law of thermodynamics states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but can only be changed from one form to another. Example: during photosynthesis, the light energy is changed to chemical energy and stored in the form of glucose. That is, energy is neither created, because energy is ultimately coming from the sun, it is not created by the plants, and this energy is then converted into chemical energy and stored in the form of glucose in the plants. That is, it is neither created nor destroyed, but it is stored in one form or the other. The second law of thermodynamics states that during every energy transformation, some part of the useful energy is lost as heat energy, which escapes into the environment. Living organisms need a constant source of energy for their metabolic functions. This energy is provided in the form of the energy rich molecule ATP. ATP is known as adenosine triphosphate, which is an energy rich molecule, because the phosphate bonds which are present in ATP, they break in a metabolic process and release a lot of energy, and this energy is needed for the day-to-day as well as metabolic functions of living organisms. The sun is the most important factor in the sustenance of the ecosystem and thus is the basis of biological life. That is, the biological life on earth is being sustained by the energy of the sun. The energy obtained from the sun is called solar energy. It is harnessed for a variety of purposes like cooking, heating water for domestic and industrial purposes, and for the production of electricity. Solar radiation is converted into electricity by the means of photovoltaic cells, which are also called solar cells. Since solar energy is non-polluting in nature, so it is also called green power. Coming to the application, since we have just mentioned that solar energy is green power, so a maximum amount of solar energy should be utilized so that a minimum of disadvantages can be caused to the environment. Because apart from using energy, environment also needs to be protected. So solar energy is the ultimate source of energy, as we have already discussed. Nuclear fusion are the reactions which are taking place in the sun, and they are the cause of this solar energy. The energy which is trapped inside the fossil fuels such as coal and petroleum is the energy of the sun, which is trapped in plants. So plants which decay over a period of time, over a period of thousands of years, ultimately get trapped in the earth's crust, and by a number of series of chemical reactions which take place, they are ultimately converted into fossil fuels, which are coal and petroleum, and these are also the sources of energy which can have a number of uses. Solar energy has the greatest potential amongst all sources of energy. It is free and a non-polluting source of energy. It has the following uses. Solar cooker, which is used to cook food and also pasteurize milk. This is a picture of solar cooker in which there is a box which has a panel, a mirror, which is where the solar energy is allowed to fall onto it, and this mirror traps in the heat waves and provides the warmth which is needed to the food to get it cooked. Another application of solar energy is to obtain hot water in hotels and industries. So these are the solar panels which are seen, which trap the solar energy, and they are used to heat up water. Distilled water finds use in laboratories, batteries and radiators, and in boilers in industries to prevent limescale formation. Distilled water is actually free of, actually soft water, free of calcium and magnesium salts, and it is, as I mentioned, it is used to prevent limescale formation. The sun's rays are focused on a metallic container containing water using a solar panel. As a result, the water in the metallic container gets heated and generates steam, which is further condensed to give distilled water. Another application of solar energy is for the desalination of seawater, and this principle is used for the distillation of water, which is also applicable to the desalination of seawater, as can be seen from the figure, where the solar energy is trapped and removal of the water gets evaporated, and the removal of salt from seawater can be affected by this method. Solar coolers are another good example of solar energy utilization. Solar coolers are used to keep fruits and vegetables fresh in the rural areas in India, where there are uh, less of refrigeration systems, less of storage, new storage techniques. Solar coolers tend to keep them fresh. And this is also used for the cold storage of agricultural products. Another important use is the solar heating of buildings in cool areas. So, solar heat is used to heat high-rise buildings in cool weather areas. Apart from heating, solar energy can be also utilized for lighting in such buildings. Solar collectors is another application of solar energy. Solar collectors is an assembly of many mirrors which focus and concentrate the energy of sun onto a central collector, which gets heated up, and then it can be used for the production of electricity. Since the mirror has a tendency to trap and centralize the solar energy, so it gets heated up, which can be used further. Solar cells is a semiconductor device which is used to produce electricity directly from solar energy. Silicon wafers or thin sheets made of silicones are polymers of silicon. They are used to make solar cells which are capable of releasing electrons, leading to the production of electric current. Solar cells are also called photovoltaic cells. However, the power output of solar cells is comparatively less. The PV technology or the photovoltaic cell technology is used to convert sunlight into electricity. The components which are involved in a photovoltaic cell are: number 1, panels. Sunlight falls on solar panels which consist of solar cells which convert solar energy into direct current or DC. Then comes the role of the inverter. The direct current is converted to alternating current by the inverter. The electricity is thus generated and can be used for domestic and industrial consumption. The electricity in surplus can be sent to power grids where it is stored. This is a diagram which is representing the production of electricity from PV cells or photovoltaic cells using solar panels. Coming to the next important source of renewable energy is wind. So, wind as a source of energy, when we consider, many countries like Germany, Denmark, Spain, USA and now India also are utilizing wind energy to produce electricity. Wind is the movement of air due to the uneven distribution of heat on the earth's surface. So, the air which is closest to the earth's surface, when the surface of the earth gets heated up, then the air closest to the earth's surface also gets heated up. Hot air, being lighter, rises above the surface and the cooler air comes down to touch the surface. And when this cool air becomes warm, again it rises, and such kind of movement of air is giving rise to wind. The energy associated with the movement of wind is kinetic energy. Since kinetic energy is associated with movement of any particle, any object, so therefore in this case also the energy which is associated with the movement of wind is kinetic energy. This kinetic energy can be converted into mechanical energy, which can be used for mechanical work or for the production of electricity. The machines used to harness wind power are called windmills. The picture showing windmills, and windmills are generally located in spaces which are away from habitated areas, because these windmills require movement of wind at large speeds, and also they require empty areas so that they can work in those conditions. Windmills are generally used in those areas where areas are windy and large amount of space is available for their setting up. Wind machines developed for the production of electricity are called wind turbines. Wind turbines are horizontally placed blades having aerofoil shape for acquiring maximum lift force. As can be seen in the picture, the blades are placed horizontally in the direction of the movement of air, so that these blades can acquire force and move with a maximum force and produce maximum amount of energy. Wind is the most economical source of energy. It is extensively used by countries like Canada, Mexico, New Zealand, Brazil, South Africa, USA, etc. In India, at the present, the utilization of wind energy is low, but attempts are being made to develop low-cost turbines, because India has low wind speed conditions. That means not every area or every place in India has high wind speed conditions. There are areas where wind moves at a very slow speed. Therefore, the utilization of wind energy in India is not to its maximum, but attempts are being carried out to increase the utilization of wind energy and bring it to its maximum. However, medium and large sized windmills are being used in certain windy areas of Rajasthan and also some parts of central India like Madhya Pradesh. In areas where wind speeds are low, air is compressed using electricity, and then storage of this compressed air in underground aquifers. This compressed air can be further used to rotate turbines and produce electricity. So, the air which is compressed is released with a large force, which ultimately helps to rotate the turbines in cases where otherwise the speed or the force of wind is less. A number of advantages which are associated with wind energy is now what we will be discussing. So, wind is a tremendous source of energy and it is therefore utilized, and hence is the development of wind farms. Since wind needs to be utilized, since wind energy needs to be harnessed, so wind farms need to be developed where these wind turbines need to be established. Wind energy has the following advantages. Number 1, it does not cause global warming. Number 2, it reduces the consumption of fossil fuels to generate power. Emission of carbon dioxide is minimized. It is eco-friendly, renewable, and it does not cause any kind of pollution. So, therefore, it has so many advantages that wind energy is a very potential source of energy. Global warming happens in cases where heat energy is trapped. Also, fossil fuel consumption is minimized in this case. Fossil fuels also produce a lot of pollution upon burning, and therefore minimizing the emission of carbon dioxide also. Carbon dioxide which is emitted from burning of fossil fuels, and carbon dioxide is responsible for greenhouse effect. So, if the emission of carbon dioxide is minimized, the global warming can be minimized. But as wind energy is associated with a lot of advantages, there is a disadvantage of utilizing this or harnessing this energy. The movement of the blades of the windmills causes considerable noise, and this is a disadvantage. That is why, to overcome this disadvantage, the windmills are established in areas which are far away from the inhabited areas. The movement of the blades of windmills can also harm the birds. They can also affect the habitat of the birds, since the birds which experiencing harm tend to move away from that area. Development of new farmlands to install windmills requires large areas of land which could otherwise be used for infrastructure development, like the building of highways, houses, and so on. So, therefore, large amount of free land or farmlands which are needed to establish windmills, because they need space, they need force of wind, they need the speed of wind to operate. Otherwise, these lands could be used in infrastructure development. So, this is one of the limitations of using wind energy. Another important source of energy apart from sun and wind, as we have mentioned earlier, is the renewable source of energy, which is water. The energy which is derived from moving water is called hydroenergy, and about 20% of the total global energy is produced from water. Why? Because water is a cheap and a clean source of energy. Hydroenergy is also used to generate electricity from either the water which is stored in dams in the form of potential energy. We discuss in the form of potential energy because potential energy is an energy which is associated with objects, or in the case water over here, static. It is energy associated with static things, or from tides and waves which are moving in the form of kinetic energy. Thank you so much.